They say every lake has a monster. Mine just carries a clipboard. The cabin isn't fancy. It's a cedar shoebox with a tin roof my grandfather hammered into place during the Nixon years, the kind of place that smells like pine pitch and coffee that learned English from a chainsaw. It sits on the one stretch of shoreline not yet smothered by Tuscan-inspired McMansions, meaning my dock is an eyesore on the HOA brochure and a personal insult to Marcy Kincaid, the HOA president and locally certified Karen. If control freaks had patron saints, Marcy would have stained glass windows. I'm there the first Friday of summer, windows open, kettle on, listening to loons and pretending emails don't exist. That's when the first shot in this war arrives, a letter wedged under my door with the precision of a passive-aggressive ninja. Dear resident, it begins, because using my name might humanize me. Your dock paint is not compliant with community palette guidelines. I stare at the dock. It's gray. So is the sky. So is Marcy's soul. Palette guidelines. What are we, a French bakery? The letter continues with threats of fines that read like a dessert menu if you're into rage pastries. I make tea and consider whether you can steep chamomile in pure indignation. Spoiler, yes, and it's delicious. I ignore it. Not out of bravery, out of experience. This isn't my first Marcygram. Last month I was cited for unapproved wind activity after a storm knocked a birch branch across the path. The HOA's official line is safety, but the subtext is we get sweaty thinking about enforcement. Saturday afternoon I come back from town with groceries, bread, eggs, a watermelon the size of a compact car, and I hear bass thumping like the lake grew a heartbeat. At first I think it's a far-off boat. Then the dock trembles. My dock. I march through the pines and step into a music video I did not audition for. Teenagers everywhere. Some are cannonballing off my dock with the aerodynamic grace of caffeinated hippos. Others have turned my grandfather's fishing bench into a margarita altar. There are red cups breeding like rabbits on my steps. One kid, shirtless, mullet, sunglasses shaped like regret, sprays beer foam into the air and shouts, "Lake rights, baby." I am not a naturally violent person, but I briefly imagine turning the leaf blower on exorcism mode. Hey, I shout, planting my grocery bag like a flag. Who authorized the charity concert for Saint Inebrius? A chorus of "Who's this?" ripples through the swarm. Mullet squints at me like words are expensive. This is Karen's lake, he declares. She said we could. First of all, no. Second of all, he didn't mean Karen generically. He meant the Karen, Marcy herself. And now the puzzle pieces click like handcuffs. The HOA president's son, Tyler, is leaning against my deck railing like he invented leaning. He's got the smug smile of a kid who grew up knowing adults would fold faster than patio chairs. Behind him, there's a banner. Tyler's Send OFF Bash. Send off to where? Hopefully someplace with poor cell phone reception and mandatory humility. I set down the watermelon carefully, because innocent fruit should not witness crimes. Tyler, I say, this is my property. He grins wider. Mom said the shoreline is community access. We left the grass. He gestures as if leaving the grass cancels out the crowds, the subwoofer, the sacrificial bench. On cue, someone unraveling a string of lights stomps through my ferns like Godzilla discovered botany. Community access is a path, I say, not an EDM pilgrimage. Same diff, Tyler shrugs. Besides, your cabin is, like, historical. We're honoring it. There are a lot of ways to honor a place. None involve a kiddie pool full of questionable sangria and 3 different Bluetooth speakers fighting to the death. Pack it up, I say. Calm, measured. You've got half an hour. Take your cups, your lights, your sense of entitlement, and return them to the store where you rented them. Oh my God. The voice arrives before the person, crisp, lemony, practiced. Marcy descends the path like a court summons in sandals. She's wearing her HOA sash. I swear she owns one, with a walkie-talkie clipped at her hip like she expects to direct aircraft. Hello, resident, she chirps. Lovely day for community fellowship. It's a great day for trespassing, I say. And auditory assault. Marcy's smile could slice deli meat. You were notified about the dock. We didn't hear back. We assumed you were out of town. Cute leap, I say. And what part of historic cabin translates to public rave barn and HOA? She inhales, the way snakes do before they remember they don't have lungs. The shoreline is community access. The board voted. And Tyler is graduating. We're being reasonable. My eye twitches so hard it tries to blink in Morse code. Reasonable would be asking. Reasonable would be not hauling a DJ table onto my deck. That's not a DJ table, Tyler says. It's a media console. The console, for the record, is my grandfather's workbench. Each scratch on it is a story. Right now it holds a laptop, a tangle of cords, and a boy in a bucket hat who looks like he's controlling a spaceship with his eyebrows. Here's my reason. I say, leave. Marcy's smile vanishes like a coupon after the expiration date. If you continue to be hostile, I will have to involve the proper authorities. Please do. I say, too sweet. They can help you carry the sangria. She blinks. I can see the circuitry overheating behind her eyes. She's been waiting to use the phrase proper authorities like it's a limited edition spice. Tyler, she says through teeth, go help with the grill. I don't have a grill, I say. You do now, says a guy hauling a metal beast onto my porch like he's staging a barbecue heist. I feel my soul leave my body, circle the lake, and return with a baseball bat. Touch that porch again, I say, and I will introduce you to property law with interpretive dance. You're being dramatic, Marcy snips. We're neighbors. You're trespassers with a soundtrack. Someone cheers. I think it's me. Marcy's hand moves to her phone like a gunslinger going for the holster. Last chance, she says. Stand down. From my own steps? She dials. Of course she dials. And because she understands the theater of it, she flips the phone to speaker. It rings. A hush falls over the patio like even the mosquitoes want to hear this. 911, the operator answers calmly. What is your emergency? Marcy leans into the performance. Yes, she says, voice trembling with the courage of a woman facing a cupcake without gluten. We're at the community lakefront, and there's a man here threatening the safety of a graduation celebration. She scans me for adjectives, aggressive. The crowd murmurs. Tyler crosses his arms. Bucket Hat DJ pauses the beat with a flourish, like we've reached the bridge. I rest my hand on the old cedar post. The wood is solid, stubborn, like my grandfather. I could match Marcy decibel for decibel. I could throw her party into the lake one floatai at a time. Instead, I smile, a quiet, dangerous thing. Ma'am, the operator says, what's the address? Marcy gives it. Of course she does. She knows every parcel like it's an enemy combatant. The operator repeats it. And that's when I say, very pleasantly, tell them to send Sheriff Doyle. Marcy blinks. Why on earth would? Because, I say, fishing my phone from my pocket and tapping the only number I know by heart. He's my uncle. Marcy's smile dies twice, once on her face, and once again somewhere deep inside where her HOA bylaws go to sleep at night. Uncle, I say when the line clicks, and I keep my eyes on Marcy because theater goes both ways. You busy? Uncle Doyle answers on the second ring with his usual charm. If this isn't about pie, make it quick. Got a situation at the lake. I say, eyes on Marcy. HOA-sponsored home invasion with a side of dubstep. A faint sigh. Papers shuffle. You at your granddad's place? Front row seat. Also, Marcy's already called 911 and labeled me aggressive. I know. Me, the human potholder. Doyle's voice switches from Saturday to sheriff. Stay put. Don't touch anyone. Don't block anyone. I'm en route. Marcy hears the last bit, the satisfying en route, and snorts like she's caught me forging a permission slip. Cute bluff, she says, squaring her sash. The sheriff won't play favorites. Totally agree, I say, especially with trespass. Tyler lifts his cup in a toast to himself. Mom, can we go back to music? This conversation is like killing the vibe. Play it, Marcy says, eyes still on me. We're not intimidated. The beat resumes, something that sounds like a microwave arguing with a lawnmower, and the party exhales. The grill guy starts clanging tongs like he's auditioning for a metal band. A girl drifts past with glitter on her cheeks and my grandfather's fishing hat on her head. I take it off gently and put it on a hook by the door. She blinks, confused, as if a raccoon just lectured her on boundaries. Half the kids are live streaming. Comments pop up on their screens. LOL HOA party at History Shack and fire emojis. Who's the angry uncle? Bro, this is content. Tyler, I say, your viewers know this is private property, right? Or is that part of the edgy brand? He smirks. It's community adjacent. Like your brain to a thought. Marcy clucks her tongue. Insults won't help you. The board approved shoreline use for events under 100 guests. We informed residents in the quarterly bulletin. Ah, the quarterly bulletin, I say. Famously more binding than deeds. She folds her arms. You've always been resistant to community standards. I'm resistant to your fantasy that my porch is a conference room. And then, because the universe believes in timing, I hear it. Sirens. Not blaring. Just that polite whoop that says, we're here to stop something you'll claim was almost fixed anyway. Cars crunch gravel on the access road. The bass cuts again, this time because the DJ boy sees uniforms and decides eyebrows can't deflect citations. Two deputies step through the trees, followed by Doyle. He's in tan and green, hat low, face arranged in that careful lawman neutrality that could sell yogurt. He glances at me, at Marcy, at the grill, at the multitude of red cups. His mouth tightens a millimeter. Afternoon, he says. Who made the call? Marcy springs forward like a game show contestant. I did. Sheriff, thank goodness. This resident is interfering with a permitted community event. Doyle's gaze flicks to the sash. Mrs. Kincaid. I know you. Morning traffic meeting, last week. She brightens. Exactly. You understand the stakes. He nods once. I do. Then to me. You okay? Peachy, I say. If Peaches hated EDM. Doyle turns to both of us. Voice carrying, steady. All right. We're going to do this by the book. First question. Whose deed covers this structure and the immediate lot? I raise my hand like I'm about to read a poem. Mine. Document. In the cabin, I say. Framed, because nothing says decor like pre-1970 survey language. One deputy follows me inside. I grab the framed deed off the wall. Yellowed, stubborn, signed by a county clerk whose handwriting could duel a fountain pen. On the way back, I pass my grandfather's tackle box and resist the urge to weaponize a bobber. Doyle examines the deed, then gestures to the tree line. And the shoreline access? Marcy whips out a binder from her tote, like a magician producing doves. Of course she has a binder. It's labeled in cruel, perfect font, shores and easements. Tabs. Color coding. Stickers, probably. She flips to a page so fast I worry she practices in a mirror. Here, she says, tapping triumphantly. Community easement from the 1980s. Voted in, recorded. Allows passage along the waterline for members. Doyle reads, nods. Passage along the waterline, he repeats. Events. Ancillary use, she chirps. Interpretation of. Not a word in the document, Doyle says flatly. Her smile hiccups. It's implied by the spirit of. Spirits are in that cooler, I say. Different jurisdiction. A few kids snort. Tyler scowls. Doyle hands the binder back like he's returning a hot potato. Easement allows walking the shore. Not occupying structures or furnishings. Not staging equipment. Not grilling on a porch that isn't yours. Grill guy suddenly finds the horizon very compelling. So what you're saying, Marcy says, nostrils flaring, is we can stay on the shore. I'm saying you and your guests need to vacate the private deck, dock, and yard immediately, Doyle says, voice even. You may use the common path and the narrow strip designated for passage along the water if you aren't blocking or loitering, which you are. So pack it up. The air changes. It's like someone turned down the entropy. Tyler throws his arms out. Mom, that's ridiculous. We set up the lights and everything. Take them down, Doyle says. And you, he points at Bucket Hat, kill the speakers. Now, the music dies a merciful death. Some kids start gathering cups, clearly relieved to be told what to do. Others shoot Marcy looks that say, your vibes lied to us. Marcy goes for the last refuge of the petty, paperwork. We have noise permission until 11. You don't have permission on someone else's porch, Doyle says, nor to enter a dwelling without consent. His eyes drift to the workbench-turned-media console, and I'd recommend returning that to its original position. I can feel Grandpa's ghost straighten his shoulders. But Sheriff, Marcy says, voice sharpening, surely you see the broader community benefit. I see open containers, miners, and a grill under a cedar eave, Doyle says mildly. If I squint, I also see fire code violations. That lands like a bucket of ice. Kids start moving faster. The grill is wheeled off my porch with the guilty squeak of a shopping cart. Bucket Hat unwinds cords like he's disarming a bomb made of poor life choices. Tyler steps up to Doyle, chin out. You can't talk to my mom like that. Doyle doesn't blink. Like what, accurately? Tyler's smug cracks. We're not going anywhere. Then I start citing, Doyle says, and calling parents, and possibly ambulances, given what I smell in that sangria. The sangria slinks behind a cooler as if it can hide. Marcy reins herself in, pasting on a conciliatory smile like a bandage over a bad tattoo. Fine, she says. We'll move to the shore. Happy. Ecstatic, I say, yet weirdly unmoved. She steps closer, low voice, teeth still smiling. You're making enemies. Already had one. I whisper back. You. Her eyes glitter. You can't watch your cabin forever. Good news, I say. The cabin watches itself. She huffs off to marshal her troops. Tyler slams a stack of cups into a trash bag like he's punishing plastic. The deputies supervise the migration of party detritus, coolers, lawn chairs, a tragic inflatable unicorn, off my deck and into the narrow ribbon of rocks that counts as shoreline. It's like squeezing a parade through a mail slot. Half the kids decide this is not the summer memory they ordered and leave. While they pack, my neighbor Jan appears at the tree line, hands in gardening gloves like she just strangled a hedge. Heard the music, she says. Figured it was either a proposal or a crime. Mostly the second, I say. She eyes Marcy's shore congregation and smirks. Want help documenting? I thought you'd never ask. We walk the edge like nature detectives, snapping photos of trampled ferns, the grill scorch mark, 2 screws Tyler's friend left in a porch step like caltrops. Jan's phone case says, world's okayest neighbor, which is exactly the level of support I need. Doyle ambles over. I'm writing this as a trespass warning, he says quietly. No charges, yet. They cross back on your property line again today. It escalates. Tomorrow, we play it clean. You lock it down, signage, chains on the dock, photo log. I love when law and pettiness hold hands, I say. Also, he adds, check your water shutoff and your meters. Party kids love souvenirs. We do. Water's fine. Power meter unmoved. The only souvenir attempt appears to be someone trying to peel off the old Doyle sticker on my grandfather's tackle box. I press it back on, as if resentment were adhesive. Back at the porch, Tyler is negotiating with geometry. We can't fit here. Doyle points to the access path. Or you can leave. Marcy lifts her chin. We will relocate, she announces, as if it were her idea. To the community clubhouse lawn. She stares at me. Where some people understand cooperation. Super, I say. I hear their outlets are rated for your eyebrows. She shoots me a last look, the kind you'd put on a dartboard, and turns to go. The procession snakes away, coolers wobbling, lights drooping, Tyler refusing to carry anything heavier than his ego. They're 30 yards down the path when Bucket Hat trots back, sheepish, holding a single item, my grandfather's workbench vise. He sets it gently on the porch like an offering to a cranky forest god. Sorry, he mumbles. It was like a vibe. It's a tool, I say. You can tell because it works. He nods and scurries off. Silence returns, heavy and kind. The lake inhales. Loons comment in their weird yodel. I pick up a red cup, crush it, drop it in a bag. Jan does the same. We work in companionable cleanup. Round 1 to you, she says. Round 1 to the deed. I say. I'm just the hype man. Doyle signs the trespass warning and hands me a copy. Text me if they boomerang. They'll boomerang, I say. Marcy's whole personality is centripetal force. He tips his hat. Lock your door. I'll loop back after I swing past the clubhouse. I do as told, slide the bolt, close the windows, collect the last of the cups from the yard. When I dump the trash bag by the stoop, something glints under the steps. A thin, plastic square, face down, wedged between two boards. I fish it out. It's an HOA access card. Marcy's. With a little strip of masking tape on the back labeled Master. Oh, sweetheart. Somewhere down the path, bass thumps again. Farther now, smaller, like a mosquito that got kicked across the room but promises to return. I flip the card between my fingers, smiling like a storm cloud that just saw the forecast. The party moved. The game didn't. Next, I tell the visor of sky over the lake. We get formal. And the kettle goes on, because I'm going to need more tea leaves to read, preferably ones flavored with inconvenience. Don't sleep much that night. Not because I'm worried. Please, I could sleep through a hurricane if it came with enough sarcasm. But because every time I close my eyes, I see Marcy's face when she realizes her Master HOA access card has gone AWOL. By dawn, I've got a plan. First step, confirm the card's powers. The HOA's clubhouse is a wannabe country club, fake stone facade, manicured hedges that look like they've been to finishing school, and a keycard entry for members only. There's a pool, a conference suite, read, folding chairs in a beige room, and, crucially, the HOA board office. The same office where they store meeting minutes, violation notices, and the binder of doom. Community bylaws. At 7:30 a.m., I slide into the clubhouse like I belong there, card in hand. One swipe. Green light. Click. Door opens. Oh, Marcy. You shouldn't have. Inside, it smells like lemon cleaner and fragile egos. The office is locked, but the meeting room is open and stacked with binders and mail trays. I take a quick stroll, snapping photos, budgets, event permits, the quarterly bulletin that Marcy swears is legally binding. My favorite find is a folder labeled Property Compliance Disputes, and yes, my name is in there. 6 times. There's also a single-sheet form titled Temporary Event Approval, with a bold line that says, Owner permission required for private property use. It's signed by the HOA president for Tyler's party, but the owner's signature is blank. Oh, bless your overconfident heart, Marcy. I take my evidence and slip out. Next step, plant the seed. By noon, I'm at Lakeside Diner with Jan, whose love language is gossip over pancakes. I show her the unsigned permit. Jan whistles. She filed this for the party? Yup. Which means she held an unapproved event. Which means Jan grins like a cat at a bird feeder. Fine. Big one. And if the board finds out she put them at risk, oh, she's toast. Stale toast. No butter. Exactly. We accidentally leave a copy of the permit on the diner's community court board, right next to the flyer for the fishing derby and under the heading Lost and Found. By 3 p.m., half the HOA's retirees have walked past it. By 4, someone's already texted me a blurry photo with the caption, "Is this about the party?" Meanwhile, I'm baiting the trap. I head back to the cabin and start fixing the dock. Not because it needs fixing, gray is still a color, last I checked, but because there's nothing that makes Marcy madder than me doing manual labor without approval. Sure enough, at exactly 5:12 p.m., her SUV pulls up. She gets out, sunglasses on, lips tight. You have something that belongs to me. I lean on the dock post. Property deed? Yes, I do. Don't play dumb. She steps closer. My access card. Oh, I say, like I just remembered a dentist appointment. You mean the one labeled Master that was under my steps after your little festival? Her jaw tightens. That's HOA property. And it was found on my property. Which makes it, what's the legal term? Oh, right, evidence. Her sunglasses tilt down just enough for me to see the storm in her eyes. You need to return it. Now. I smile the smile of someone who owns both a porch and a very nice pot of tea. I'll be happy to hand it directly to the board. At their next public meeting. You know, the one where they take member questions. You wouldn't. Marcy, if I were you, I'd start practicing your "we regret the oversight" face. It's like a humble smile, but with more choking sounds. She exhales sharply. This is harassment. This is housekeeping. You made a mess. I'm just sorting it into labeled bins. She spins on her heel, stomps back to the SUV, and peels out like a getaway driver from a soap opera. I head inside, pour tea, and wait. It doesn't take long. At 6:47 p.m., I get a call from an unknown number. It's another board member, Paul, the treasurer, who always looks like he's 2 minutes away from crying over a spreadsheet. He's heard some concerns and would love to resolve this amicably. Translation: Marcy's panicking. Oh, I'm all about amicable, I tell him. Bring it up at the meeting. I'll even bring copies for everyone. Silence. Then a soft, that won't be necessary. But oh, it will. Because I'm not done yet. When I hang up, I walk out to the porch, look at the still lake, and imagine the next week. The meeting, the board's faces, the subtle way I'll slide the permit across the table like a poker player with the winning hand. Somewhere out there, Tyler is still sulking about his vibe being ruined. Somewhere closer, Marcy is plotting. But here, on my porch, I've got the deed, the card, the permit, and, most importantly, the kettle. Round 2 is going to be delicious, and I'm going to make sure the whole town gets a taste. If you've never been to an HOA meeting, imagine jury duty, but the defendant is fun. The clubhouse conference room is beige on beige, with folding chairs arranged in a circle so no one can escape without making awkward eye contact. I show up early, not because I'm eager, but because I want the prime seat, directly across from Marcy, with the fluorescent light haloing her like the patron saint of petty grievances. Jan's with me, armed with a thermos of coffee and the kind of notebook that screams, court stenographer. She's agreed to be my second set of eyes, ears, and, if needed, sarcasm. The board trickles in. Paul the treasurer, wearing the same defeated tie from last week. Susan the secretary, whose pen clicks like a machine gun when she's annoyed. And Doug the vice president, forever in golf attire, even in winter. Marcy arrives last, her sash missing but her glare very much present. She does not greet me. The meeting opens with old business, landscaping complaints, a request for a dog park, and a lengthy debate about whether the community newsletter should switch to a more cheerful font. I sip coffee and wait. Finally, Paul clears his throat. We, had an item under new business regarding last Saturday's, event at the lake. Every head swivels toward Marcy. She gives the kind of smile that says she's about to sell you a timeshare in purgatory. Yes, there was a celebration for my son's graduation. We followed all community guidelines, as always. However, she shoots me a glance sharp enough to slice deli meat. There have been misunderstandings. Misunderstandings, I say, leaning forward, is one way to describe trespassing, unauthorized use of private property, and the theft of a certain grandfather-approved workbench. Susan clicks her pen twice. Let's stay professional. Great idea, I say, pulling out the sign but blank permit. Here's a professional document filed for the event. You'll notice the owner permission line is empty. The owner, in this case, being me. A ripple moves through the room. Doug actually takes off his visor. Marcy's voice goes high-pitched. That's irrelevant. The shoreline is community access. Paul interrupts. The shoreline, yes. The cabin deck? No. The dock? No. We've been over this in past disputes. I slide the HOA card across the table. And here's something else, found under my steps after the party. Labeled master, which, unless the HOA has a new fetish, means it opens all community facilities. Susan picks it up like it's radioactive. This should never leave board possession. It didn't, Marcy says quickly. I must have misplaced it after locking up the clubhouse. I raise an eyebrow. At my cabin? Paul exhales like he's deflating. Marcy, this is serious. That card could access sensitive records. Sensitive records? Oh, Paul, I know. I've seen them. Jan, bless her soul, flips open her notebook. Also, she says sweetly, the sheriff's trespass warning from that day is public record now. Just in case the board needs documentation. Marcy's jaw flexes. We don't need to involve. Yes, we do, Doug says. We can't have board members breaking the same rules we enforce. It makes us look. He stops, realizing he's about to say hypocritical out loud. Unprofessional. I finish for him. The conversation spirals. Paul suggests a formal reprimand. Susan wants the incident logged in the meeting minutes. Doug proposes temporarily suspending Marcy's access privileges, which is HOA speak for "you're grounded." Marcy's composure cracks just enough to let the anger seep through. This is a vendetta. This, I say, is accountability. Looks the same if you squint. The board votes. 3 in favor, 1 against. Guess who? And suddenly Marcy's staring at the table while Doug explains the temporary suspension terms. She'll keep her title but lose her access card and the right to approve events for 60 days. It's not the full dethroning I fantasized about, but it's enough to sting, and enough to let the rest of the neighborhood know she's not untouchable. Meeting adjourned. Chairs scrape back. Paul looks like he's aged a decade. Susan collects the permit and the MasterCard with the caution of someone handling a grenade. As I'm leaving, Marcy corners me in the hallway. Her smile is gone. In its place is a warning. "Enjoy your little victory," she says. "It won't last." I lean in just enough to make it personal. "Neither will your suspension. Better make the most of the time off." Her nostrils flare. She walks away, heels clicking like tiny gavel strikes. Outside, the air smells like pine and satisfaction. Jan hands me my thermos. "That went better than I expected." "It's not over," I say. "She's going to try something." And when she does, I glance at the lake. Flat. Calm. Waiting. I'll be ready. Because in this game, the shoreline may belong to everyone, but the deck, the dock, the cabin, they're mine. And so is the next move. Marcy kept her distance for the next 2 weeks. Not complete radio silence. This is Marcy, after all, but the kind of passive-aggressive quiet where you just know she's building a petty little war machine out of gossip, half-truths, and the HOA bylaws like they're Lego bricks. But then, the whispers start. At the diner, someone mentions a special event being planned at the lakefront for charity. A kid at the bait shop says Tyler's been bragging about the comeback party of the summer. And Jan, in her usual casual detective way, drops this into conversation while pulling weeds in my yard. She's planning it on the public shoreline. Says you can't touch her this time. Well, she's half right. I can't touch her, but I can make her regret touching the idea. Step 1. Location, location, location. I spend a few evenings measuring. Tape, stakes, a very serious expression so the nosy neighbors think I'm doing official cabin maintenance. By the end of the week, I've marked exactly where my deed line ends and the public shoreline begins. It's narrower than most people think. Very narrow. Like, half the space you'd need to host a toddler tea party narrow. I print a large, waterproof sign. Private property. Trespassers will be documented and prosecuted. Smile for the camera. Underneath, I mount a little fake security cam with a blinking red light. Not because I need it. Oh, the real cameras are there, but because the fake one catches the eye and makes people nervous. Step 2. Tactical landscaping. I call in a favor from my cousin Pete, who owns a boat rental service. 2 days before the rumored event, he accidentally stores 6 oversized kayaks right on the public strip, nose to tail, taking up most of the available standing room. He's well within his rights. Public access is for everyone, after all. I also scatter a few driftwood logs across the space. Totally natural. Just inconveniently placed for a large gathering. Step 3. Sound check. On the day of the party, I set up my own speaker system on the deck, not blasting music, but playing a loop of old fisherman stories I recorded from my grandfather's tapes. Slow, rambling, occasionally punctuated by the sound of reeling in a catch. It's not loud enough to be a violation. Just loud enough to make it impossible for Tyler's crew to pretend they're the only soundtrack on the lake. Step 4. The arrival. Around 3 p.m., they come. Marcy in her best, I'm innocent sundress. Tyler, wearing sunglasses that could be seen from space. A half-dozen teens with coolers, Bluetooth speakers, and enough ego to float a pontoon. They stop at the sign. Marcy forces a smile and waves, like she's greeting a neighbor in a commercial for lemonade. "We're staying on the shoreline," she calls out. "I hope so," I reply, pointing at the stakes and tape marking my boundary. "I'd hate for you to confuse shoreline with my front lawn again." They squeeze in, dodging kayaks and driftwood, trying to set up a respectable party zone in a space the size of a bus stop. Tyler cranks his speaker. Marcy sets up a folding table for snacks, right on the edge of my line. I don't say a word. I just lift my phone and snap a photo. She moves the table. Step 5, the sheriff cameo. At 3:15 sharp, Doyle's boat drifts past on his regular patrol. Totally coincidental. Definitely not because I texted him the night before with, "Hey, planning to be on the dock tomorrow?" He tips his hat, glances at the crowd crammed between kayaks, and gives me the faintest smirk. "Everything good here?" "Perfectly legal," I say. He nods, slow and sheriff-like. "Good. Keep it that way." Marcy's smile tightens another notch. Step 6, the natural consequences. It's hot. There's no shade on that strip. No seating, unless you want to balance on driftwood or squat in the shallows. The kayaks block any decent view of the lake, so the Instagram moments are limited. By 4 p.m., the kids are restless. By 4:15, Tyler's complaining loudly about how this sucks and there's no room to vibe. At 4:30, they start packing up. Marcy stays until the bitter end, pretending it's all going exactly as planned, then hauls her cooler away with the posture of someone who just lost a staring contest to a lawn ornament. Step 7, the aftertaste. The next morning, I find a single leftover red cup on the public strip. I pick it up, toss it in the bin, and pour myself coffee on the deck. Jan appears at the property line, grinning. Well, that was the quietest HOA party I've ever not been invited to. I sip my coffee, watching the lake shine. They'll get the message eventually. And if not, she asks. I smile. Then I've got a whole shoreline of ideas. Because in this war, I don't need to win with volume. I win with patience, tape measures, and the knowledge that nothing terrifies a Karen more than playing by the exact letter of the rules. Thank you for being with us. Please share in the comments where you are watching from and whether you liked everything, and see you next time.